Hey everyone, today we are going to take some compressed air, regulate it down to something like 1 or 2 or 3 psi. I want you to listen to this. You hear it? Now listen how it surges. Right here is the 3/8 PVC port on the 4.0 Jeep manifold, intake manifold. So what we're doing, that's an old stethoscope. Relieve the extra pressure, put it in there, and then listen for leaks. Now you could use a piece of tubing up against your ear, something that'll focus the sound. Tubing works really well. I just happen to have this from a million years ago. It's a stethoscope. So anyway, I'm hunting around for leaks, and I no longer find any, except one of them was coming out of in here in the EGR valve. This is a 1988 EGR valve. So the EGR valve's probably got carbon buildup, so I just taped it off, and there's no more sound. So I can't, using this method, find any more leaks. So I had to get rid of several of them. There's ports here that are now have caps on them. 2 here, this one, and this line here went somewhere to some vacuum source, and so I had to cap that. These 2 are attached to each other, so they're not part of the intake manifold. And then you had to tape off, I had to tape off this with some really sticky tape. We got this, I think it's for wrapping pipe insulation around pipes. It's good in heat and good in cold, and it sticks like crazy. This has been set up now for, well, the intakes down here, you can barely see my hand. Down here, covering the injector holes and the intake holes passages, it's been on there for a week. This I just had to put on today because the blue painter's tape wasn't holding up. The pressure was too high, as much as I lowered the pressure. So sorry if I'm yelling. I've got this thing in my ears. So what I've brought today, you can see it here. This is, oh, it's slightly magnetic. That's the remote, the wired remote to turn on the fog machine. So before we do that, I'm going to take you guys off of the tripod, because I'm going to do my best to shoot this all in one take. Why? Because I'm lazy. No, I'm not lazy. I just don't have the time and the energy to do all that. Okay, so just so you can see it all, here's the top of the throttle body. It's tightly covered. You can see these here are the injector ports. And then down here, you can see the intake runners are all covered. And they're sealed real tight. There's no more leaks that I can hear in this whole entire thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the EGR, well, PVC port, and we're going to connect our smoke machine. These guys, Chauvet DJ, they sell a couple of them, 500 watt and 700 watt. And, crap, don't knock it off, Mike. This is 700 watts. One of the guys that did the 500 watt reviewed it. It just wasn't enough to push it through the whole intake system on his big Ford or whatever it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put you guys back on the tripod. Sorry if it's a little shaky. It's what us amateurs do. Okay, so Can you guys see all this? So what we're going to do is we're going to put that on top of that. Get rid of this so I'll stop shouting. This thing's hot. I could feel heat coming off all over it. So I don't know if that's tight enough to not leak there. Okay. This is our first time I've ever used this, ever. I turned it on a minute ago and had the fan running and it sucked. It makes some really dense, it's like, can you imagine 10 people exhaling a cigarette all at the same time to the same space? It's a very dense smoke. I put my thumb over the hose and there was like no pressure at all. So I don't think it's gonna pop any of this off, although it's gonna be a little oily and a little warm, so it might eventually separate it. But the one thing I know needs to be cleaned out or replaced is the EGR valve. We discussed it, but it's leaking all the time, so it's a slow vacuum leak. Now, who knows, maybe it'll get better when it's warmed up, the engine, or maybe it gets worse. So I'll get some carb cleaner and work on that, and we'll add that later. But right now I'm trying to find if there's a vacuum leak anywhere in here. I half expect one around the IAC here, and the throttle shafts, that, you know, the shaft that opens the butterfly. That's where I expect it. Will it come out that way? I don't have a clue. So when the green light's on, that means it's warmed up. Now there's no switch, no on-off switch on this machine. You plug it in, the green light is out, and you give it a couple minutes, it gets warmed up, and then it says ready. And it's magnetic, so it kind of stays in place. So let's see. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Now I can see this bulging just a tiny bit. Uh-oh. The ready light went out. I don't know why. It did. Maybe the damn thing's getting too hot. Or maybe because it's sealed off. Well, like I said, never used it before. So let's try this. That is tight. Okay, up. Okay, green light's on again. Here, let's, oh, damn it. Oh, it's leaking smoke out of my, yeah, and dripping a little oil. Okay, here we go. You guys see that? Okay, here we go. See how much smoke that's putting out? It's quite a bit. So, let's try it again. That thing's a nice tight seal. My plastic adapter over here is getting a little soft because it's getting hot. Alright, let's try it, see if the light goes out again, because maybe we got too much back pressure, which is good. It means I got a good seal. Okay, still working. Now that was a lot of smoke, I can tell you from practice. I don't see any smoke coming out of the throttle body. Let's try it again. Well, maybe using compressed air and a stethoscope is good enough. So I don't see it leaking anywhere. Not around the IAC here. Not leaking out of the tape. Nothing coming out of this area. That smoke's dense. It'll come flying out, you know. Okay, green light's still on. I wonder if this thing is not getting full, the manifold, because the thing's sealed totally tight. Where could we let it out? Huh. If there's a leak, this will go right toward the leak and out the leak. And I'm telling you, there ain't no leak right now. Okay, let's, oh, light went out again. Yeah, it's working. Everything's blazing hot. Okay, let's let it cool off. I think it's just getting overheated because it's not putting out any heat. It's not putting out the, I think this is probably mineral oil, but I don't know for sure. Oh, there we go. I heard it click and the light went on. Okay, here's what it looks like without any inhibition. Smokes like a mother. And it must be hot because the smoke's rising straight up. So that again confirms what I said, is the smoke's probably hot. Let's see, how can we... I hate peeling this tape off of here. It was a lot of work to seal this thing up, but it may not be going into the intake because there's no path for it to go in and then back out. You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm really happy. This thing's tight. The EGR's not, but okay, here we go. I took off the, let's see, 1, 2, 3rd injector. Took the tape injector port. Took the tape off the where the injector goes itself. Let's put this on here, and what'll happen is you'll see it come pouring out that injector hole, just flying. Okay, lights on. Here it comes. See that? It's coming out nicely. Yeah, it's almost instantaneous. Second I hit the button, it's coming out the hole. So, let me give you one thing I've learned already that's a little more related to doing this itself. This adapter is Delrin, so it's a plastic, and I made it press fit over that nub on the front of this thing, and that nub is 20 thousandths more than 3/4 of an inch. So you could probably use like 3/4 inch heater hose, gently clamp it on or silicone it or whatever, and then adapt it down to 3/8 like I did. I mean, it's not leaking much smoke out, which is good, but it's hot and this plastic's losing its grip. So if I had to do it over, yeah, I'd do it out of aluminum, but I had some cheap plastic tubing, and it was just a few minutes to modify that. Okay, so now we know we have some smoke in the system. Let me give it another little, oh, lights out. Can you guys see that? Lights out. I don't know why it does this. It's probably, I think it's designed to run continuously so it gets real hot. This chassis it's hot. This is not, probably after 30 seconds I couldn't hold my hand on there, but it's hot. You don't want little kids or anybody screwing around. So as soon as it comes back on, oh, there we go, here we go. Purge. Okay, now I'm going to seal this up. I hope the tape will hold. No, tape won't hold. Tape is, well, that's alright, I can hold it shut with my finger. Okay, here we go. We'll put a nice big dose into this intake, see if it leaks anywhere, because it's not leaking. I'm disappointed, shocked, and happy at the same time. Nothing. Oh, wait, right here. Just a tiny bit. Okay. Let's see if we could find out where that was coming from. Yeah, I got like 16 hands I need to do this. Okay, here we go. Okay. I think it's coming out from... Boy, that's a tiny leak because you can't hear it when you use compressed air, a couple 3 psi, and I can barely see it, and this thing puts out monstrous amounts of smoke. So, let's try it again, see what we find. I'm not seeing anything. Well, I tell you, it's not a horrible leak. Okay, lights out. Somewhere, like I said, it could be the throttle shaft, so I'll look right at it this time. I don't know if you guys certainly can't see it. If I find it, I'll pull the camera down here and show you, because I need both hands to do all this. Alright, so lights on, here we go. Man, I'll tell you, if there's a leak here, it's awful tiny. I mean, I don't see anything just puking, right? Now this, if I'd put the EGR on there, it would be leaking out of the EGR really bad, because I could hear it. It was really loud. So, okay, we're not quite done, but the lesson, in case you're getting bored, is that if you use, in fact, I got it from Nick and Time. His video he just put out a little while ago about using compressed air, and he warns, just like I am, low pressure. We're talking 1 or 2 psi. My adjustable regulator over on the compressor is dialed down so low the needle sits on 0. And like I showed you at the beginning of the video, you can just barely feel the compressed air. Listen. I can barely feel it hit my skin, barely. And that's plenty, okay? So you need to be careful, because the intake manifold is designed for vacuum. You put a lot of pressure in there, you can pop apart, damage something, right? Okay, so my injector port, I got it nice and sealed over here again. It's leaking somewhere under here. The only thing that's attached here is obviously the throttle shaft and the IAC, and it's from underneath. So I mean, it was so tiny. Well, let's try it again. Lights on. Let's see if somebody's home. It shut itself off that time. I saw a puff. Yeah, I don't think it's coming from the IAC. Okay, when the light comes back on, we'll try that again. This thing's really well sealed. I'm pretty happy. It's not gonna run screaming lean, you know. Well, that's assuming that all this tubing, when it gets hooked up, isn't gonna make it really bad. So when this gets connected back to the Jeep, this is pretty easy to reach. I'll hook this all up again, and we'll test all the tubing and see where it leaks. I'm sure there's going to be leaks, but at least we'll know it's not here, and that's really useful. Okay, lights on. Let's see if somebody's let's see if somebody's home here. Boy, I tell you, it's the slightest leak ever, if that's it. I'm suspicious, since the smoke rises, that it's coming from this, but I don't think so. I think it's coming from the throttle shaft. That's what I think. Well, you know, that's so slight that, you know, yeah, I guess I could rebuild it, put a new bushing in or whatever, but considering that these lines and all the stuff attached to it leak like a sieve, that's relatively minor. So let me check one more thing. The other end of the throttle shaft is over here. Let's see if we see anything coming out of here. Okay, light's green. Man, I was hoping to show you a big leak puking like crazy, but alright, well, there isn't one, so here's what we'll do. I'm going to get you guys, I'm going to bring the camera, I'm going to point it right there, and hopefully we can catch this. I need to add the flashlight and all that stuff to it, so I'm going to run out of camera space here. Yeah, I think it says I got one more minute. Alright, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Smoke on. See it? Just barely. You see it? Just barely. My camera's gonna, it says I got 1 minute left of footage, so I'll try it one more time. It may die, and I apologize, but there we go. There's some smoke. I can see it without the flashlight even. See it? Okay, that's it. This thing's going to stop quite suddenly, and that'll be it. There's the setup. Oh, it says charge the battery pack, so it's actually the battery going bad. Yeah, okay, my battery's going bad, so I guess I better stop. And my phone's ringing. Okay, that's it. We're going to stop now. That's it. It's the best I can do. Sorry it was so long, but what Nick showed you and what I showed you a little bit using compressed air at real low pressure, it'll help you find it as long as you can hear it. You need a piece of tubing, you need a quiet area. I got the radio off, and that helps a lot. So anyway, this system is tight. Everything we attach to it when we put it back on the Jeep, who knows? That has to be retested. Alright, you guys. See you, bye.